my loves. Hi, baddies. How's it going? Welcome back to the Divine Goddess podcast. This is the second episode. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome, my spiritual baddies. Today's topic is the fear of being alone versus the call to create, and why we resist our own expansion sometimes, our own like ways of being. At times I feel like we resist our own creative power. Our main themes and pinpoints today that we're going to explore is the fear of solitude. We all go through solitude moments of being alone, of introspection, of just where you find you are not around people even when you want to be. Life is forcing you to be alone and face yourself. The fear of that, as well as our second point of topic, will be creative energy as a spiritual download. Because creation is often a spiritual process. It comes from higher guidance. It comes from our angels. And the only time that we can get these downloads of our inner child or our guides or our higher self who is coming through to really inspire us for creative action, the only time we can get these downloads, get these thoughts going, is when we are alone, when we're not distracted by other things around us, when we're not constantly going after the next best feeling of dopamine, of suppression, of almost community too. And so when it comes down to it, we also have the resistance right before the breakthrough. That's going to be our third topic. There's always a little bit of resistance. I kind of said this in the first video as well. There's a little bit of resistance right before you hit a big shift, right before you make that big move. It's almost like a speed bump, kind of testing you. Resistance before the breakthrough. And then we have craving people versus craving purpose, and what that really means. Another topic is going to be spirit speaks in stillness. Okay, so to start this, the fear of solitude, I feel like many of you do or have experienced this, because being alone forces us to face ourselves. First off, we can forever be tied to a job. We can bury ourselves in works, bury ourselves in relationships and friendships and other people almost, before we really dive deep into burying ourselves into ourselves, and to take a moment to just sit in front of ourselves, to sit in front of that camera, to sit in front of that mirror, sit in front of that journal, sit in that practice, whatever it is to you, that creative outlet that you feel guided to do. Sitting in that means being alone. And it all ties into our truths, our wounds, and our desires. Because at the end of the day, the truth is you're being called to do something. You're being called to create. You're feeling this push, this creative force, this creative energy to just run through you during this alone time. And at the same time, your wounds are popping up simultaneously. Any childhood wounds of you not feeling like your creation was good enough, or feeling like it was a waste of time, or people telling you that what you were passionate about doing doesn't mean anything, or that's not a real job, or that's not a real hobby, or whatever it is. There's a lot of wounds that come behind our creation. We've been very much, as a society, closed off to our own creative power. They would rather us sit in front of a screen forever and dwell on what we could be doing instead of actually doing it, because as soon as you start to create, that's when you start to gain power within yourself, within your own creative energy. And many of people associate solitude with loneliness or even abandonment. So if you've ever had any kind of sort of abandonment issues growing up through childhood, that can come up a lot when you are alone with yourself. You could feel like life is abandoning you, your friends are abandoning you, or you could just feel this intense loneliness around yourself because you're not being there for yourself either. As creatives, being alone is necessary. Okay, being alone is necessary to create and to channel into divine guidance, to divine inspiration, when we can quiet the noise around us, when we can quiet the noise of your own thoughts and your mind driving yourself insane on what should we do, or this isn't good enough, or let's do this, not this, and your mind will keep going forever, trying to avoid that spark of your aloneness, to really find that space, because that's what it is. Solitude and loneliness is space that you've created for yourself. And if you're uncomfortable with that space because there's nothing around to fill that void, then that's when you start to resist your own expansion. That's when you start to resist your own divine inspiration that is trying to come through to you. When was the last time you let yourself be truly alone, with no distractions, with nothing really planned, nothing needed? You just were alone with yourself, observing your emotions, observing your thought process, observing what brings you lightheartedness, what brings you inspiration and creativity. Like, as children, we were alone a lot, we weren't necessarily alone, but when it came to our imagination, when it came to a certain age within your childhood, you were alone, playing with dolls in the corner, or playing with your imaginary friend, or doing art, or cars, Legos, whatever it was. When you were a kid, you were alone in those moments, comforting yourself, your energy, your soul, with your own creative inspirations, your own creative aspirations. So when was the last time you truly were alone, without distraction, without wanting to wrap it up and not be alone so quick? Because creative energy, it's so tied to your spiritual energy. It's so tied to your spiritual development, your downloads. When I say downloads, it's almost like a light bulb. When you're alone and you have the space and you're not thinking, maybe you're driving, maybe you're listening to music, maybe you're going on a walk, but there'll be a moment where you just get an intuitive idea, a thought, an action that you feel like you should be taking. Those are your spiritual downloads. When you're feeling like, wow, I should book that ticket, or you know what, I should just go full force and start that video, or I should start this project, I should text that person. Whatever it is, these spiritual downloads will help you create, basically, because creation is often a spiritual process, because it comes from a higher guidance, it comes from higher downloads. That's why Prince used to say, Michael Jackson, run it back, Michael Jackson used to say, I have to write this down. He would, like, anytime he woke up in the middle of the night and got an intuitive, like, guided idea on a song or a project, he would wake up immediately and call his producer and be like, meet me at the studio right now, even though it would be like 3 a.m. because he said, or so they say, he said, if I don't do it, Prince will. Because that's the idea. Like, our ideas, our intuitive creative actions that we're getting to do, that we're being inspired to do from the divine, it comes to multiple of us, because we are collective. At the end of the day, we are collective consciousness. So that idea is not only coming to you, but someone else. And if you don't do it, someone else will. And just because someone else already did too, doesn't mean that you shouldn't still follow that guidance and do something similar, because it's never going to be exactly the same as the other person, because you are an individual that is so unique to you. No one knows what you've gone through. No one has been directly in your shoes. So even if you have around the same idea as someone else, it's never going to be the exact same. And you're always going to attract a different type of energy, a different type of audience, and people to you based off of your own energy and your style and your upbringing and so on and so forth. So the burst of energy that you feel can be overwhelming and almost like it's bigger than us, So if you are a creative person and you feel these inspired ideas coming through to you, one way to not stop them in their tracks or resist them is to realize that it is bigger than you, baby. It is bigger than you. It's not just about you. It's not about you just going full force and doing it for yourself. You are doing it for everyone around you. You're doing it because not only do you benefit from taking this action and making those moves and accepting yourself in your alone time, you do benefit from that. But when you do that, girl, baby, there's so many other people too that are going to feel inspired and feel that energy of you pushing past your own resistance, of you pushing past your own fear of being alone, whether you're outwardly admitting it like I am right now, or you are just doing what you've been scared to do, but no one even knew you were scared to do it, or no one even knew that you were procrastinating it. You still doing it. There's an underlying energy of us as the collective watching you, knowing that you pushed past your own fear, you pushed past the own uncomfortableness that it is to be alone with yourself and take those actions to get there. So again, it is bigger than you. Your ideas, your inspiration, they're divine. They are like a lottery ticket, your way to your biggest desires, because otherwise you wouldn't be having these thoughts. You wouldn't be having these intuitive, inspired calls of action if they weren't meant to benefit you completely, or those around you especially, because you can be a vessel. Your art can be a vessel for other people's inspiration and their own guidance. So it is not about you. Sometimes that stops us a lot because you're like, oh, who really cares? Who's really going to watch me? Babe, it's not about you. Put your ego aside from it. It is about the message, the art, the creative energy that is trying to flow through you. You allowing it to flow through you in those moments of being alone is really when you can start to inspire other people's around you. It's not just a cute idea that just pops in your head. It's transforming. It is the start of a breakthrough. That's what that really is. And speaking of breakthroughs, that's my third point of this video. My third focal point is the resistance right before the breakthrough. And there is always that resistance. I even talked about it in the last video, the last podcast. If not now, then when? Is there's always going to be a little bit of resistance right before you have a breakthrough. There's always going to be a moment of you feeling like you're maybe even going crazy, being alone with yourselves, and these guided actions, this inspiration, this divine guidance, these downloads, it's a lot when you aren't doing anything about it. You can get overwhelmed with it. There's the resistance before the breakthrough. The resistance always comes right before the alignment. And so know that when you're going about your day-to-day life, is that anytime you're starting to feel heaviness, resistance out of nowhere, it's because you are about to shift your own energy, shift your own mind, shift into a new timeline right now in this moment. Because it's spiritual labor pains. You know how you get growing pains? That is what it is. It is spiritual labor pains. So it's you pushing past to this next higher version of yourself. There's going to be uncomfortableness. There is going to be the resistance. You just have to be aware that that is what it is, so you can push past it with greater ease. Even though it's going to be discomfort, you know how to manage yourself through it. Because in these moments right before a breakthrough, your ego fears the change, fears the expansion, almost fears your own success. Oh my God, but if this does work out, what do I do then? Am I really ready for it? So on and so on. Your mind, your ego tries to talk yourself out of it. More often than not, it throws in distractions. It throws in cravings. You'll start to feel the pull to be around people you don't even necessarily like being around. You just don't want to be alone, or you'll start to feel yourself gravitate towards cravings and overconsumption of food, drinks, social media, any kind of, intoxicating things like that, just distractions. And when I say distractions, you know what it is that distracts you the most. You know what it is that pulls you away from yourself. You know what it is that you do to numb out the world. That is when you're going to feel more push to go towards that is right before you expand. And this is where the self-sabotage really starts to kick in. The self-sabotage right before the breakthrough is a real thing. And sometimes we do let the self-sabotage win. It wins. We end up sabotaging it all by feeding into these distractions, feeding into these impulses of people, of things, places, substances that we know don't serve us. Okay, but it feels comfortable to run to those distractions before it does to just do the thing, girl. Before it does to just sit in that creative energy and allow the divine to flow through you. Your ego will fear the change and the expansion, and it throws distractions, cravings for connection, or even anxiety. It will throw anxiety into you. You'll get overwhelmed and super anxious about all of it because you're resisting this breakthrough that you're about to have. Yeah, so the self-sabotage kicks in, the scrolling, the texting, the numbing, the things that you do to numb yourself, to distract yourself. You know what that is. And that also comes to your cravings. And this is my next point of topic along this, is craving people versus craving a purpose. Ooh, this is a doozy. We all feel this. This is a lot, and it's pretty intense, and it's hard for me to even admit the fact that sometimes we think we want people, but we really want a purpose. We want expression. We want to be seen by ourselves. When you're feeling the craving to be around people and to be seen by people that you don't even care about, that don't care about you, that don't serve you, that is not a true craving for people. Yes, as humans, we crave connection. We crave being around people. That is something different. But craving being around people in these moments where you're avoiding yourself, that is exactly what that is. It's just avoidant of yourself and avoidant of the solitude and the beauty that can come out of it. We think we crave these people, but like I said, we crave purpose. We crave expansion. We crave being seen by ourselves. We want other people to see us so bad, but at the end of the day, it's just you wanting to see you and be with yourself. It's your inner child that wants to be seen by you, that wants to be felt by you, that wants to be let in and just explore and create and make art and to feel some sort of purpose, not some fake validation from other people. Because solitude is a sacred place where your higher self meets you. And it greets you with clarity when you can sit past the discomfort, when you can resist the urge to cave in to other people, distractions, numbness. Then you can start to see the clarity that this solitude is trying to bring to you. Okay? Are you actually lonely? Are you just avoiding the version of you that is trying to be born? Are you actually lonely? Are you just avoiding the version of you that is trying to be born, that is trying to be birthed by you? It's crazy how much our mind resists our own expansion, our own growth, our own higher self. But really sit with yourself. If there's even an inkling of your intuition that says yes to that question, then you know what it is. You know that you are avoiding this higher version of yourself because you fear the change. You fear maybe even the responsibilities of, if it all works out how I want it to, what would that mean for me? What will I have to do? What will I have to change? We're creatures of the same habit, so it's really hard, but Spirit speaks to us in the silence that we find when we're with ourselves. And you can't receive the instructions of what you need to do if you're too busy filling that space, filling the void with other things. So honoring the call to create is honoring yourself to be creative, Creation is how spirit moves through you, and you will always feel a lack, a loneliness, a purposelessness if you do not allow yourself to create, or allow spirit to create within you, allow the divine, any higher power to create. We are creative beings. So how can you learn to lean into your alone time? Choose presence over the panic. It's about pausing in those moments, knowing that you feel scared, but running into it, diving full deep into it, and ask yourself, what have you been avoiding? Where are you craving the love that only you can give to yourself? Okay? Where are you creating that love? Maybe it's taking better care of yourself, learning to just sit with yourself. For me personally, journaling, any art, music, going on a walk, all these things kind of help me get better to myself, going to a workout class, etc., closer to myself, because I find moments where I just avoid my own expansion. And that is really what all of this is about, is leaning in to the beauty of being alone and knowing that you are safe with yourself, giving yourself time and space to believe in that, trust in the fact that you are safe with you, reassuring the version of you that's trying to run from yourself, and creating some sort of grounding ritual in those moments where you feel, I'm trying to avoid myself right now. Let me try to stop myself in the tracks. Maybe it's turning off your phone, listening to a podcast, watching a video, listening to your favorite playlist, going on a walk, writing, journaling, meditating. All of these things can help ground you back to yourself and allow it to be a little more easier to find the guidance that is trying to come through you, so that you can get closer to this higher version of you, because you can't do it without yourself, baby. That person is not going to come and do it for you. Going to that event, going over to that person's house, texting them, or reaching out, going to that party, whatever it is, it's not going to satisfy you. It may give you quick validation, make you feel a little less alone for the moment, but it will always start to find you again. You will always start to find yourself again. That version of you, your inner child, your higher self, will come knocking at your door until you deal with them, until you deal with he or her. It's not going to go anywhere. And the more you become okay to sit with yourself and allow your creative energy to flow through you, the easier it is to trust yourself in it all, because you'll start to get depressed. You will start to get sad, feel heavy when you don't allow the version of you that is wanting to come through. When you avoid yourself, how can you expect love from anyone else if you're not sitting here loving being alone with yourself? How can you expect anyone else to want to be around you if you can't even stand you, if you can't be around yourself? I mean, these are hard questions you got to ask yourself and work through. It's shadow aspects that we all go through. And that being said, I believe in you. One last question to ask yourself: where are you craving the love that only you can give yourself? Where can you find the time to allow this creative energy to flow through you without expectations, without standards, without judgments? Just be the vessel, because it's not about you. It's beyond you. It's bigger than you. You just have to be the vessel and see what happens when you allow the beauty of your solitude to birth creation. That being said, I hope you gained something out of this. This is the second podcast of the Divine Goddess Podcast, second episode. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love a subscribe, please. If you're on Spotify, if you could leave a review or comment, any of all of that helps. Share it with someone if you feel like you gained something from it. Maybe share the love. And thank you so much, my loves. I'm so proud of you. And are you really alone? Are you just resisting your own creation? It's up to you, baby. I believe in you. I love you. I'm here for you. I'll see you next time.